This is Tim Willis, and normally with a copy of OBS and a built-in laptop microphone. This is another video from the Nomad Funnel Hacker, and today we're going to be talking about a extension for your browser called Barnum PT. And right now we're looking at the Edge add-on page because I just installed it on Microsoft Edge today. It is also available for Google Chrome. I've had it actually installed on Google Chrome for a while, but since I do switch back and forth between browsers, using Chrome more than Edge, I decided to install it on Edge as well. It's a free application and it is best used in conjunction with ClickFunnels, but it does have functions that will work in other capacities. Some of the tools are very basic, some are more ClickFunnels centric, but it still is kind of a Swiss Army knife that's useful because it eliminates the need to have multiple extensions you might otherwise need to do individual things while working on a web page. And it is a free application, but it does have a paid side. It has a few paid features, but most of it you can use for absolutely free. And it was developed by Winter Jones, who has been associated with ClickFunnels for a long time. In fact, Winter Jones was involved with the original version of ClickFunnels called ClickFunnels Classic. But today we'll work with the current version of ClickFunnels, formerly known as ClickFunnels 2.0. So first off, you just install it like you would any extension. I'll go ahead and include the extension links for both Microsoft Edge and Google Chrome. And we're going to be just looking at what's called the Toolbelt today. But when you install Barnum PT, in order to use it, you need to create an account, which is free. And the reason you need an account is that it has a dashboard in which it's going to save things. It's also going to give you access to the things you save through that dashboard, so you'll need to create a login. Now on to the main event. This is the ClickFunnels homepage. I have installed Barnum PT in my list of extensions. I also have Go Full Page. Don't have a lot of extensions on Edge. And then I pinned the Barnum PT icon to the toolbar for easy access, which I recommend you do. So let's go ahead and click on Barnum PT. It's going to bring up this panel with several buttons here. And this is what's known as the Toolbelt. So we're not going to be looking at everything on the Toolbelt today, but we're going to be looking at the thing that would be of most interest, generally speaking, to funnel building. So the first one we have is Full Page. And Full Page is going to capture a full page screenshot. So it works very much like Go Full Page, or I believe another program that does the same thing is called Fireshot, if I'm correct. Anyway, let's go ahead and give it a shot. We're going to press the button. And then we'll see that we want to leave our window open while it's capturing the image. And you see we kind of have, instead of a Pac-Man figure, we have the PT Barnum icon going across some dots in Pac-Man style. So very similar to the way that Go Full Page works. Tells us we captured our screenshot. We can go ahead and open that. Brings us to our dashboard. We can go to our screenshots. And we can see the full page that we just downloaded. So that's an easy way that you can get your screenshots of these long web pages to keep in your file for future reference. So far so good. Let's go back and see what our next function is. And that is called the viewport. And the viewport is just going to capture what you see on the screen. So it's more like a traditional screenshot tool. And so you see it there, it just captured what was visible on the screen. And next we have the section tool, and the section tool works very similar to the viewport, except we're able to define the area. So we see that we have this section screenshot, and then if we say go in this middle part and just select the middle part of this section, it's going to save just that as a screenshot. And so you can see that might be good if you just want to get a screenshot of a certain thing. That pretty much covers it mostly for our images. There is one exception to that in the future, but we'll get to that. Next, we have the color picker, which replaces a need for a separate color picture in your list extensions. And it's a very simple tool. It's this circle. We'll just go ahead and capture some of this red. You just click and it saves it to your dashboard, and it'll be in your list of colors. And there it is right there. And so you can have a list of colors. Now, if you click on the color, you can copy it to the clipboard. If you open it, you can actually modify the color. So we have a color palette. We have shades we choose from. We can just use saturation, other factors, or we can get these other color codes that are different formats. That is a way of saving your favorite colors all in one place. And next we have a ruler. Now, again, this is a useful thing to measure things on a web page that otherwise would require a separate Chrome extension. So it's on the button. We'll see it. We have a ruler using X and Y coordinates. And again, let's go down here. Actually, let's raise our page up. So just press escape to get out of the ruler. I think it's going to work better if we do it like this. Let's go with our ruler again. And if we say we wanted to capture this input area in its button and just measure that, we would start about right there. And the yellow area with the ruler is going to be the actual measurement. So you see we have a profit width of 516 pixels by 50 pixels. Now, we didn't get it quite, so it's actually probably about 520, something like that. Anyway, you have that ability to get a close approximation of the length or width of something on the page. And then again, you can click the exit button, or rather escape button, and get out of there. Now those measurements are not going to be saved in the dashboard, so you'll just have to write them down. Next, we have the inspector, and I like the inspector a lot because I used to use a tool called CSS Peeper, but they have changed that tool, and it's not, to my mind, as friendly anymore. And this is a lot more useful and better in certain aspects. Anybody who's used CSS Peeper kind of recognize its layout, but realize it gives us a lot more information here. Can choose an area like this text area. It's going to tell us what the size is, and then it's going to also show us any padding and margins we have. And then if we choose a larger area like this area, it's going to adjust and show us our padding and all that. As well as it'll tell us the size of any font, some other things. It will also give us the color, and we can copy all these things by clicking on them. And for something like this input field, which has a corner, it will give us the corner radius. So those are pretty useful things on the inspectors. It will also tell us what fonts are being used on the page. No way of selecting the font, but it gives us a list of them. And in the colors, it also identifies the colors on the page. And you actually can copy the colors and paste them somewhere else. So all in all, it's a pretty good addition to have this inspector tool. All right, let's go next. See what else we have. We have an image scraper. Image scrapers are notoriously variable, but this one is actually pretty good. I rate it as better than the one in the old version of CSS Peeper. And so when we click here, we see that we have 72 images found. Most of the images show up, and it will identify whether it's PNG or SVG or JPEG or whatever. Now, typically, what these image scrapers have problem with are the SVG images. And as you can see, we have a few here that look like they're faded out, so they may be okay. But if you work with SVG files, you know that once you download these, they're going to be that swirly edge Windows icon if you're working with Windows, and you have to actually put them into a program to see what they're going to look like. And so with that, we can choose just one of these images by clicking checkbox, or we can choose all images, checkbox, and download them as a file, which you can unzip later. So as I said, this works better than I would expect it for Image Scraper. And so it's a way of grabbing images. Just remember that copyright law does exist, so you don't want to reuse other people's intellectual property. So next we have the responsive tool, which is just a mobile simulator. And it's a fairly basic one. You can change the sizing here. You have a few choices here. So this is going to replace the mobile simulator you may have in your browser. So if we're on mobile, let's do a tablet. You see how it resizes to a tablet size. I want to change that back to mobile, but you get the idea. Also, you can adjust the size on the screen using your plus and minus buttons, or an exit to get out of there. So that's another thing that's going to be very useful, just for a quick look at what your mobile looks like. We have a live drawing tool, which I'm going to show. I've never used that. I don't know that it's going to be all that useful, but I guess if you have a screenshot and you want to make some notes, you could do that. But I just don't see that as being a really useful thing, but that's just me. And then you just exit out of that. We have two other buttons, other apps and scripts that I will cover in future videos. We also have a page transfer page, which I'm going to cover in a different video as well. But just to briefly go over the page transfer page, you have the ability to save a page as copy, but you're going to have to prove it's your page, which means you're going to have to provide a share funnel link to prove that you made it in ClickFunnels. If you don't own the page, you can save it as a wireframe where it's going to save the structure, but all your images and text are going to be like lorem ipsum and stock pictures. So that's another way you can do that. But as I said, we'll cover that in a different video. So that's it, looking at most of the functions of the tool belt today. A few of the other ones I'll cover in separate videos. And as you see, we were able to determine a lot of information off this ClickFunnels homepage that we can use, whether we're working with ClickFunnels or not. Some of those other functions are going to be more ClickFunnels specific. And there's even more that can be done outside of the tool belt. But those will also be separate videos because we've kind of gone long anyway looking over all those functions. But that is the introduction to Barnum PT. I think it's a great little tool, and I recommend getting it. I'll leave the links for both Microsoft Edge and Chrome extensions in the description. And that will be the video for now. My name is Tim Willis. I'm a certified ClickFunnels funnel builder. I make tutorial and demonstration videos on ClickFunnels, sales funnel building, web page design, marketing research, and the tools we use, which in this case is Barnum PT, to accomplish all those things. That's the video for now. I'll talk to you later.